Can you hear me now? I don't think that's it. Properties, device. Can you hear me now? Yes. Okay. No, that's not it either. Default. Testing. Okay, did I get it finally working again? Trying to judge based on the sound analyzer, and it's hearing some sound. I'm just not sure if it's my voice, but I think we're good. Okay. So as I was trying to explain, I guess it's going to be tradition now that I start my stream with a technical issue, and they have to be complaining about it for several minutes in chat before I notice. That's just going to be our tradition. So what I'm trying to explain is the theory behind iridescence, that if you've got a camera over here and light coming in at different angles, the angle that it bounces at can determine the color that the camera sees. Whereas, I don't know if we can make a. Why can't I change that? There. Whereas my other plan is, we still have a surface. We still have a surface. We still have a camera. That is a worse camera. But this surface is all the same color. It's just all going to be like this. But then, once we do that, we get another surface that sort of goes around the outside, and this surface is going to be special. It's going to. Why did I decide to draw it this way? It's going to take forever. This surface is going to be special. It's going to be something that you can only see from the inside, which means that I need to move this entire image to properly show you. Oh, come on. Where's my... I did not think this through. Oh, that's not even the tool. Well, never mind. I'm just going to redraw the camera. I don't even need to put this much effort into the camera. But anyway, this thing is going to go all the way around back. As will the surface. And now we can start to see what happens. That the camera... oops. The camera gets in light from here, here. But it's also going to be able to see this. And this is going to look dark. So, I don't know, this is not my best sketch, but hopefully you can kind of get the idea that we will end up with... Why don't I add some more space? In this case, we will end up with a character who... actually, I need to draw it a little more carefully. We will render one object that is just completely gray, and then behind this object... Why don't I do a bigger demo? We'll render one object that is just completely gray, flat color, and then behind it you will be able to see the outline, or you will just barely be able to see this other weirder object behind it. But only behind, because it's only visible from that direction. It exists in front. You can't see it from in front. So only a little bit of it peeks out, and it is a darker color, and it gives us our outline. Whereas this object up here, what we will do is we will render an object that isn't completely gray, just one object, and when the light bounces, or when the angles are correct, parts of this object, so in this case, I wish there were a more formally defined cutoff, but in this case, the dark color is going to be on the object. Hopefully that... Wow, it's going to be on this object, as opposed to around it. And what's the difference? Why do we care? Well, we care mostly because the second method is the commonly used one. Most people do this when they want an outline, or various other things, but I like this one because iridescence is actually a thing that can happen. Might even be able to do some cool stuff with it. I like taking real concepts and adding them in. But this one has other problems that we're going to see next. Starting, if we... Starting, if we head back to Blender with the pretty obvious triangulation. And this actually kind of surprised me, because I've worked with 3D stuff in the past, and by default, it doesn't actually do this. It's... Oh. No, I guess it kind of does, but you know the... You probably don't know it. Okay, so I'm just going to show you. This is basically what everybody's first OpenGL project is. You render a triangle, you have a different color for each vertex, and it makes this pattern in between. And this is the first thing that every beginner does, because it's actually very easy to do. You define 3 corners, and a different color for each corner. And these specific colors are like the basic colors in the computer's color scheme. So usually you just go with these 3. And then OpenGL takes that information and it smoothly transitions between the 3. So it does all of the blending. Just does it. Free of charge. And so I kind of expected that over here. It's not just color that it does this with. It does it with pretty much anything else you care to define. It does it with, well, obviously position, but it does it with depth away from the camera. It does it with the normals to the surface. And I should not have put my drawing tools away because normals are important to this too. Because they're used for calculation. So a normal is, let's use some space up here. If you have a surface, then 90 degrees from it is the normal. And this is useful for various things, including but not limited to finding an angle, because I don't know how many of you have covered this yet and how many it's still to come, but you will at some point get this physics class where they talk about angle of incidence equals angle of reflection, that these 2 angles are always equal. Which is kind of the idea we're going for here, but we aren't actually calculating this angle. It's just relevant if we were fully calculating everything. Instead, what we're doing is we're still using the normal, but this is the direction. This is the direction from the camera. We just test if this is about, I don't know, if the normal is like almost 90 degrees off. If the camera was over here, the normal would be exactly 90 degrees off. It would be the very edge of what you could see. It would be totally dark. Whereas if the camera is up here, then the angle is like it's 180 degrees off. And if it's 180 degrees off, we can tell that the light is coming from over here. It should be lighter. But if the angle is 90 degrees off or close to 90 degrees off, then we want it to be dark. So we're doing calculations based on the normal. And the thing is, as I was saying earlier, it should actually... Whoops. That's actually not what I want. I just want... I just want to delete that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, if you have two surfaces like this, then, well, as I was saying before, you kind of define values at the vertices. And so actually, let's say the vertices were like that, and if I can find correct color again, clear that out a little, we would have a normal, kind of like that, and then another normal. I am going somewhere with this, just bear with me, please. And then another normal here, and another normal there. And OpenGL will kind of smoothly transition these as well, so that each point on the surface has a normal that's pointing in a slightly different direction. Just going between the two end values. And it should do that automatically. It's easy. It's done for everything else. So why not? And the benefits of that, should be that we test each of these normals separately. And so this one, that's that. This one's light, this one's light, 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 light. But suddenly, this one here is dark. And all of these are at a steep enough angle to be dark. And so, midway through the triangle, it switches. Rather than just at the edges of the triangle. But as we can see if we go back to Blender, it only switches at the edges of the triangle. Nowhere else. Just follows the triangle. So I knew there had to be a better way, like some way to make it happen, because I know the technology is there. We have the technology. And so this was actually another thing I looked up before the stream. And if we turn on smooth shading, then all of a sudden we have what I'm after. I actually need to turn it on for all of these. And so this is closer to what I'm getting at. Like, you can see if you look at the edges that it's made up of relatively straight segments. See a straight line point, but the inner thing is much smoother because of all the stuff I talked about before, because it's the normals are smoothly changing from one to the other. So go over this one last time. Just don't have that many viewers, and if I'm losing some, then I'll probably lose people who come back to watch too. So we're starting from, this is the physics concept that we want to replicate. Based on which direction the light's coming, we want to show a different color. So show one color over here, show another color over there. Just because of the angle. The information we have is the direction from the camera and the normal to the surface. And so we can test the angle from the camera to this point. So what's this angle look like? We don't really care about this angle. Just this angle is enough information. And also the angle to the surface. When we subtract those, essentially, we subtract those angles, and if it's 90 degrees, then we got a point. We actually got a point over here. Is actually a. Oops, that's not even the right color. No, I can't do that. Something like that would be a 90-degree angle between the normal and the camera, which should be as dark as possible, and things that are close to that should also be dark. So we're... the thing is that we start with the normals at the corners. Everything is made of triangles with corners. We start with the normals of those, and in between it just kind of automatically figures out what the normal is, just sort of going between this one and this one. And so this one is close to 90 degrees from the camera. This one is too. I guess this one should be. But that defeats the point. Whatever, we'll say... okay, basic summary. We want these different... Like, we want it to calculate all these different normals so that somewhere in between it can say, this one is close enough to 90 degrees, this one is not. Because if we didn't go between that, the alternative is that... Oops. Why don't I just use line segments? The alternative is that all of the normals are identical. And if all the normals are identical, then it will only ever switch between colors at the corners of the triangle. So we would have... it will only ever switch here. Oops. Now the problem is that you get that. You get to see the edges of the triangle because one triangle is totally... like it's gray and the other is totally black suddenly. Which is no good. And so there's a setting for which one we want, and we want this. Hopefully that's a good enough explanation. If not, I don't know, maybe we can come back to it. But moving on for now, I think you may be able to... You may have spotted some other problems, and if not... I'll take a look at the outlines on this antenna. They're like almost not there. So we're going to move on and take a look at that. So mostly, like, the way to adjust this is we figure out what cutoff we want, and we just we say we want a different cutoff, and well, that makes more of a line appear everywhere, which we don't want, really. So this next step is we're going to want a we're going to want to make a separate one. Separate material. That's what this is. so that we can just sort of change it for, whoops, that's no good. So we can change it for one but not the other. Leave the main body the same and just thicken the lines on these others. Well, that's a little better. The color's off. I haven't gotten the colors right yet. I can do that. It'll just take a little more busy work. And I guess the thing is we need to do this a third time specifically for these antennae, or we need to figure out something else for the antenna. Yeah, I know the colors are off. That's because the shader isn't done yet. It's just easier to go with the lighter sections are lighter than they should be, the dark sections are darker than they should be. And yeah, before we move on to the other stuff, I just kind of need to figure out if it's okay that this happens. Look at the arm. It looks okay from here. Looks okay from there. We don't see as thick a line, but at this angle, almost everything is like at that angle where it's perpendicular to the camera. And the antenna too. You can just have a significant section be totally black. And the question is, this is actually accurate. It's kind of what you would expect from iridescence, given where did I put? Given a setup like that. If we have another object that's like this, that was not well drawn, then all of these light rays, that's not even the right angle, all of these light rays would be very shallow angles, end to end. And so the whole thing would show up as dark. It's expected, it's correct. The question is it good for the game? I guess that's TBD. In the meantime, why don't we try the other option? And for this one, base color, whoops. This one we just sort of set a base color, and then make a second object. And we have to figure out how to turn on. Yes, there we go. So what we have here is one object within another, and the outer object is only visible from the inside. So it's the thing I was describing over here. We just did it. And then then we make an outline. We make the outline dark. And not. Yeah, we just kind of do that. I don't know, turn off all of those. I think we do need more vertices, but this is an interesting and kind of simpler way to do it. Oh yeah, we definitely need more vertices. Like that. Sorry, did I miss something about the orb? Oh, okay. I thought you were, because I haven't actually checked the eye against the stuff in game, and I thought you were talking about that. But I still have not brought out reference images to check. Flip normals. Oh, I got backface calling off on both of these. It's fine. And I guess I will go ahead and make the duplicator. I figure it's reasonable, given that this is the child's dream, it's reasonable for him to have his dad hanging on right here. And I'll just do the child the one way and the duplicator the other way, and we can see how it looks. I don't know, if I need to add another member, I'll add the negotiator, but for now I'm just doing this. Something like that. I could copy parts of the child, but I do want to do it from scratch just for practice. Maybe I'll do it better this time, or different. Learn something. Well, that's going to be an interesting problem. If you look at this, you can see some of the leg through the outline, but and I guess that's also a thing. It's just a thing that happens because we've got an object that's like outside the body. It's a separate object, so you see it separately. And if you get the angle right, it looks fine, and if you go up here, it looks fine. It's just there are some sections in between that look off. All right. Actually, no, we're not doing that. We're doing that. I don't know, does it need to be smoother? It's probably fine. Yeah. I need to enable that by default somehow. What? Okay, fine. There. Something like that. And now both of these I need to do these separately. Hmm. Something like that. Okay, now we're starting to get a better sense of... Oh. Well, okay, turns out that neither option looks amazing from every angle. These legs, you stop being able to see the outline from below. Unless... Unless we did something like this. Oh, okay. Yeah, we just be a little better if we followed the surface more closely, but well, we can fix that. Oh, but this is still different from the original in that we've now got a line cutting into that. Okay, so now yes, oh, did I say negotiator? I meant demagogue. Yes, the duplicator is the negotiator. Also, now you can... Oh, you already know how infrequently I check chat. Oops, they aren't symmetrical. Why aren't they symmetrical? That's no good. Better. Oops, not better. Not yet. Better? Okay. Well, I can already see another downside to this method. It will take forever to arrange for new poses. Maybe I can automate it somehow. Okay, let's do some arms. Oh, we're way off. I'm considering having him hang on back there. But no, it could work. It could work. I'll go with it. He's gonna have a face full of balloon, no matter what. Isn't he? Maybe not. I could do model. I could send models, but well, it's probably fine. It's just that these are almost definitely not going to be the final model. Like the final model, I'm going to put a lot more effort into. These are practice models. I liked the results last time I did this. Not that much. Uh, mm-hmm. Is that arm the right size? Maybe like that. Uh, good enough. one's even harder to line up. Oh, I should look up his base color. Yeah, I need to look that up. I don't know, somewhere around there. And this one gets to be a... Oh man, we need to... We need that. Wait a minute. I think that's actually looking more like him. Bluish green? Not really. Well, it's bluish something, but... You know what? We are going to get to the bottom of this. Eyedropper. I do with the eyedropper once I have it? Oh, well, that's what I did. Advanced color select. Interesting. It's not. Well, I guess it's getting too green, but yeah, I just want to get the color code for this. I forget how to do that. Do I have to go into an entirely different program? I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to go with it is cyan, leaning towards green. It's pretty dark and 50% saturation. So 50% saturation. I'm going to call that close enough, you know? Okay, this is lime. Maximum saturation. Wait, really? It's all the way up there? Oh wait, I'm not even changing the color that matters. It can't be maximum saturation. They're not talking about the same thing. Whatever, I'm calling it good enough. Getting back to the antenna. Which direction are we going? Now we're basically just going to do the same thing with the antenna as we did with the child. Do we even need another point? So we're going to head over to the antenna. There. And add a curve. Look at that misspelling. There we go. Yeah, let's do that. Wait. Yeah, if we make that longer, then we'll have more antenna to work with. It's just a question of why it's suddenly straight at the end. Okay, I know why it's suddenly straight at the end. It's because we ran out of curve. How long does it need to be, though? I think it's long enough. Somewhere around there. I think I will need to do this for the child too, just separate the pieces out of the antenna. Getting it there eventually. There. No, that won't do. So this one is going to, we just attach it to that one. Let me move this over. A little finicky, but we're fine. Okay. Now these, the drill, let's scale, material, why can't I invert the normals? What's going on? Oh, it's not invert, it's flip. I don't know why I forgot that all of a sudden. Right, this one also is an outline. Too big. Okay, so we have fine control over the size of the outlines now. Let's do a medium size. Oops. I don't know, maybe even move that in to match with everything else. Oh, I need to adjust the arms so that you can see the outline head on. But first, we make wider antenna here. I have not even checked where the duplicator is in relation to the rocket. Need it even wider. Maybe wider. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna go do this. That's the one. So this comes up here. Just about like that. Yep, so as with the legs, if we don't carefully arrange this object around the arms, then suddenly the outline just disappears. Now the outline does not disappear. You get to see the outline of the arm no matter what. But you get to see the outline of the arm no matter what. When I would draw this in 2D, I would never draw an outline around here. This is very much a face full of balloon. That's even worse. Yeah, something like that. You know what I will copy? I will copy over the pupil. The duplicates are not sentient, they are just sort of mirrored copies of... they're kind of like reflections in a mirror. Oh. That'll do. It's not even going to be visible in the render unless I swap them around, which I probably will. I don't know. Should I have them both be looking the same way so I can get them on camera, or is it more interesting to have them facing the other way? I guess we'll see. But before we see, let's just kind of take a look at what we got here. I think we kind of have to turn them around just to get any of this at all. But we can definitely mess with the angle. Right. So after this, I do still need to go back and get the colors right. The thing is that what's actually going on here is I'm testing is one value greater than another. Like, I've got the math all worked out so that the question of is this close enough to this just comes down to is a number greater than the appropriate value. And so I have greater than. Just is this value greater than 0.5? If it is, we get an output of 1, and if it is not, we get an output of 0. And so I just said, okay, 1 and 0, I can use that. Use 1. If it's 1, we got a white color, or very close to white. And if it's 0, we got a black color, or very close to black, and I just used those colors. But now, But the actual color is not supposed to be fully white. It's not supposed to be fully black. So we got to do a little more math. Add converter. I'm going to do math of... I just made it red. We're going to multiply by 0.7, I think. Something along those lines. And then we're going to add .1 approximately. We're going to use that. Oh, that's no good. We need to add less than 0.1. Wow, we need to add a very small number. So basically what we're doing, we're taking a value of 0 to 1, and we're just kind of adjusting it so that if it's 0, it ends up at well, a low value, but slightly above 0 because we added to it. And if it was 1, it ends up at a high but not quite 1 value. In this case, I guess 0.5 because it's very bright. Actually, I think I do have to turn that off. Unless I want it to be even shinier. Oh, okay, and then I just have to do the same thing on the copy of this. So we got the same, so it looks the same there. And now we have colors a little bit closer to what I'm after. If I need to yeah. Okay. So that's about what we have for today. And I guess the question is, how's it all look? Hang on, I think this is wrong. Yes. Yeah. So we have the child done in one style and the duplicator done in another style. And I chose like exactly the wrong angle. So you can see the weird extra line. to move this in and then mess with this again. As for the child's exact color, I'm kind of forced to give up here. The exact shade, but you're right. Still off. Make it a bit darker and just compare that against the original. And you know, this is a little... Oops. No, that won't do. Darker. Yeah, I guess I got used to it being really dark. So we're looking at values of 0.2 and 0.07, which is closer to the original. But you're right, we weren't done yet. I guess what I really need to do is just have some way to adjust the line thickness on the fly. But maybe not right now. Oh yeah, a little better. Do we want this to be... Oh, now it's darker. Okay, that's a little better, I think. So you can see the two different kinds of shading here. And you can see, whoops, that's not what I meant. You can see some pros and cons of the child. This arm is kind of how it's originally intended to be, where it goes straight. There's a little bit of shading there, but it's not an actual line between the arm and the body. Whereas the duplicator, you get a full-on line between the arm and the body, almost no matter what. Like, there's like one angle where you don't get a line. But we did get that angle for the legs mostly. There's still hints of the other thing, but like I would fix that before the... I'd fix that before an actual release. At least any single image that was meant to be looked at carefully. But yeah, on the duplicator, we get to have better control of the thickness of the lines. I could make all of these the exact same thickness if I wanted. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, I don't know. The child, we have much less control. I could make more of a line appear on the antenna, but there's not much room for it, and it would tend to wash out. Like, this antenna is already mostly dark. It would get even more washed out. And this one, it would become very difficult to see the light part. But I have a bit of control. I don't know, I kind of want to adjust this. Wait, really? Huh. If I tweak it a little, then that line will take up a little less of his face. So I can tweak it a little. Just did. But you still get stuff like this on the legs. I would have to make... I'm sure there's a way I could add more granularity to that. But currently, neither of the options looks great on the legs because one of them shows almost no outline and the other shows too much outline. And I would have to make a third that's in between. I do like shade smooth, though. I don't know. Any final thoughts? Style versus accuracy. Yeah, that is the question, really. Style-wise, I want the thing that corresponds to an actual physics concept. Accuracy-wise, there's a reason that most people do this one. Oops. I keep on doing that. Most people do it like I've done the duplicator here. Though they may have figured out an easier way. I think in the long run, I might have to just give up on this, just because I can't. There is no way I can fit that in exactly the right spot for every possible pose, no matter where he moves his arms. I would need to, like, every frame I would have to go and put this in exactly the right spot to get this line there. And I can't do that. So I might be able to figure out a way to automate it. In fact, I'd have to, but I don't know if it would be perfect. And the alternative is that the line would just disappear or half disappear when you looked at it from the wrong angle, which is also not good. Yeah, the pose isn't perfect, I know. Left arm being the one on our left. Okay, I need a new angle. Here, I'm adjusting the pose, and like, that's not a thing you really notice, but that does prove my point. I adjusted the pose, and now now the line's off. So I gotta manually put it back. Every time. Which I certainly don't like doing, but I'm sure there's something I could do. Tint of the eye. I think that's because of light reflecting off it. No, I did make it too bright. It does make sense for them to have light reflecting off it, though, because I've always drawn them like that. Even darker? Oh, the pupil. The pupil does not need light reflecting off. Oh, yeah. The light was catching that at a terrible angle. Does this need to... Maybe not darker, just higher saturation. Maybe lighter with higher saturation. Yeah, let's turn up the specular even. Pay no attention to how the pupil is floating off the eye. It sure is possible for the rocket to have an outline. Which outline? Nodes. Is there any way I can use the same shader and just change little pieces of something? Settings? Custom properties. Can I... add... No. Was a nice thought, though. Because I want to copy this rather than doing it all again. I want to just be able to reuse this. Okay, what do I? Vertex color. Attribute. Name. Give me a second to look this up. Allows you to retrieve attributes attached to an object or mesh. That's pretty much exactly what I want to do. I want to set an attribute here that says attribute of, you know, this exact color. And I want to get that attribute and use the color. But this does seem like the sort of thing I should deal with off stream, because I'm not quite sure where to set such an attribute. Vertex color is another interesting one, because maybe I can set the vertex colors separately from the shader. Color. And then we convert, we separate out the RGB. We do some math of, actually no, we don't even separate them. We do vector math of multiply. Okay, so it's a start, but we need to paint some color onto these vertices. Editing vertex colors. Fill the active vertex color layer with the... Yeah, that actually sounds about right. Edit mode. Is vertex paint what we want? Set vertex colors? Yeah, I think it is what we wanted. We just need to go into vertex paint mode. Actually, we don't even need to set anything, just instantly going into the mode sets the colors to white. So what just happened and why it's suddenly working? Working. We do want to set, what was it? It was a purplish blue. It's very blue now. So actually, we don't need to do we're just going to simplify. Add and clamp. And that actually does mean that if we go in here, we go to vertex paint mode, then we can do the exact color that the child should be. 9999999. About 0.6. Okay, so we set all of these to we set all of these to 0.6. And then that's not the right color. Yeah, I think it must have been. It's not 999999. It must be like CCC or something. In terms of colors, if I had the color picker that I wanted in there, I would show you. But anyway, yeah. So we can now set custom colors and get an outline. And this was very much not the custom color that I had in mind. So let's actually just look at the ship. The base color, 0.2, 0.2, 0.5. And then we go back to Did I have anything else on the ship? Yeah, I don't know. But that's pretty close. Oh, right, I just turned off the specular. Okay, well now let's do this to the balloon. Yeah, our balloon is just green. Also still Still not the exact color that was in game. Just pretty an accurate enough color. Needs to be brighter. Can it get brighter? Not really. Well, that's a bit of an issue. It's maximum. Wait, where did the... I'm fairly certain that the rocket used to be more colorful than that. Yeah. When I'm in this mode, it's colorful, and then when I leave, it's not. Okay. So I don't know why it's doing all of... why it's changing so much, but basically what we need is something in between. Maybe a little... Yeah, something like that. No, it's okay. Now it's still... It needs to be more purple. Then I will call it done. Doesn't actually need to be. I was just... The original color was not picked for any particular reason. But I'm going to stick with it because I don't have any reason not to. I don't know if the fins are important to get right now. The balloon is doing okay, but it does need a thicker outline. Could I use... I wonder if I could use, like, look down here. We're using the color of the vertex. We also get information about the alpha. That's information we can use, and we can set differently for different objects. And we can set it anything between 0 and 1, so that's a fair amount of fine control. Remember how earlier I wanted fine control over how thick the line was? What if we did that? Okay, so now it's set to maximum thickness. It's not actually black, it's just the dark color. So what we need is we need to go into this mode and figure out how to do alpha. If that's a thing we can do. If not, we'll just find something else that we can get information about. Is it possible? Okay, someone's saying there is no such thing as vertex alpha, which I kind of believe. Like, there's no particularly good reason for it to exist. But I don't know what this means then. Yeah, I know, like, over here we've got alpha, but that's going to change all of them at once, We can't set that separately for the balloon than for the rocket. So I guess, so this is another thing that I do. I don't know if it's normal. I assume it kind of is. I just find something that I can repurpose. Because, I mean, I don't need the alpha data for actual alpha. I would have no problem repurposing it into how thick the line is supposed to be. Tangent, texture coordinate. No. I'm not seeing a whole lot of other stuff, unless there's object info. Location, color, index, material index, random. I don't know why random is in there. None of that's what I want. I'm going to check the alpha thing again. Color. What's all that? I don't know. Vertex Paint Editor. Setting the alphabet. Okay, I'm going to check again. Vertex Paint. Blur, average, smear, annotate. Yeah, this is again something I should probably do off stream. Brush, effect alpha. Okay, I can do it, so that's why it's there. I just need to figure out curve alpha, texture alpha. Is that... No. Mix. Hue, saturation, color, value. Add alpha, erase alpha. Add alpha. Paint. Vertex paint mode. Oh. There we are. Vert levels. Vertex paint levels. Nope. Hue saturation value. View. So in theory, there is something in here that will allow me to set alpha. Like, there are settings that have to do with alpha. But I don't know if that's actually a real thing. When were they talking about this? Back in 2014, so it should be... If they were going to make it available, they would have. Yeah, I'm sorry, everyone. This is something that I'm apparently not going to be able to finish this stream. Child's face turning colors. Was I messing with... Yeah, when I'm messing with that, is one of the things that's currently affected. His legs are not. I think, need to... Oh, that's what happened. There we go. Yeah, it just looks darker for whatever reason in there. Well, yeah, I guess I will spend more time looking into that. For now, this is what I have. I guess I do need to do the fins. The fins are gonna... let me go into that, and we do some red. And that's close to the correct color. I might need to add this back, just so that the ship can have the nice highlights, and so will the characters. Yeah. So, yeah, so far I've only done the duplicator using method 2. Could do the exhaust this way, but that's kind of ridiculous. Some things should be outlined, and the exhaust is not one of them. Or the trail, everything. Oh, okay, I'm not actually done. Maybe that. I want roughly the same brightness between these things. And, yeah, let's look at it down here. Oh, actually, before I do that, I'm going to turn that back on. Yeah, as long as I'm using specular shading, I've got to... Actually, maybe I don't. I don't know, is it even worth... Oh, yeah. Basically, the problem is that specular shading, when we've got the highlight up here and the darker stuff down here, means that The outlines don't match up in color. Gotta. Nope, that didn't help. Guess I just make it brighter and I don't even know what's happening here. Yeah, I think we just make it brighter until it works. That might be too much, though. Let's go for a quarter. Okay. I'm glad I caught that. Does anybody else see anything? Just want long streams? I mean, I could sit on here and do nothing all day. No, I can't. Not, or I won't. Most of the length was, where, like, the latter half was just me trying to figure something out. For the next stream, maybe Tuesday. I think Tuesday and Friday would be the stream days for the foreseeable future. The yellow part. Are you talking about the duplicator's outline or this? Because this is not outlined. I may as well smooth it. Oh, as long as I'm smoothing that, I'm going to smooth this. Could merge them. Yeah, I was talking about that earlier. There's no outline, a little bit of shading. That's just the specular. No, it's not. Is there ambient occlusion? Sheen tint, roughness? I don't know. Honestly, specular shading doesn't matter when it's actually giving off light. You know, as long as I'm here. Gonna adjust the arm a little. Whoops. Keep up. But yeah, basically looks good, I hope. Does this need to be adjusted? Because if so, I'm going to need to adjust everything else. I have don't know what the next one will be on. That's TBD. It depends on how much work these need, and like whether I can do any of those off-stream things successfully. Like if I've got those done, then I can do a stream again on the subject. But I'm not going to do another stream on this if it's just going to be me sitting around looking up how to do stuff in Blender. Who knows? I may follow the idea of modeling them or figuring out how to model other interesting things. As for this, actually, like I'll hold a poll on Discord too, but are there any last thoughts on strategy A versus strategy B? Last I heard, how long have I used Blender for? Blender, I know I made the original snowflake model in Blender back when that event came out. I think I'd been using it before then too. For what though? I made the original snowflake back in Blender. The last time I updated the stars in the background, I actually used Blender to render that. I guess you'll have to look up when those things actually happened, but it's been several years, and it may have been even longer. Like I might have been using, or been vaguely aware of it since probably even before Run 3 came out. But oh yeah, and almost all of the videos I've uploaded to YouTube have been edited in Blender. It's a video editor too. I'm not going to bother showing you right now because it's not set up for that, but there's just a toolbox video sequencer, and you can put in video clips here and put them in order. Forget what I had down here. I wasn't using it though, so. I'll just, yeah. Okay. So duplicator seems to look better. Despite the extra outline around the arms. I guess my next question is, can I get away with, like, as long as I keep the camera angle reasonable, can I get away with just omitting that line? And I just avoid camera angles from, like, that angle. or does it need to be? Does it need to look like this? Blender, yeah, it's a quality program. And the main reason I use it rather than other things is because it's open source, and I want to support the open source movement. Open source is amazing for a variety of reasons. Among them being, if you learn something from these streams, if they inspire you, you can just download Blender free. Do it yourself. See which back? The characters? Also, hi, it's been a while. Is the open source movement political? I don't know. All is well on my end. Things are coming along. I'm hoping to get a release out at some point. But other than general slowness, going well. Let's see. Politics. I guess maybe. There are some political views involved in open source, but kind of have to say, as far as my political views go, this one is not all that political. If that makes any sense. No strong opinion on the arms, then. Yeah, at some point soon. Yeah. But I've still got various things to do, a lot of them involving modeling, before we can actually make it home to the planet. Which is the next big step, I think. That's the one I'm focusing on. Because among other things, I want to be able to talk about some of the story stuff that I've come up with, lore, events, people. But so much of it is tied up in spoilers. I have to tread very carefully to avoid spoiling stuff. Which I imagine is frustrating on your end, too. But going to the planet means, well, a lot of modeling, new types of gameplay, just tons of stuff to do that I still haven't done. So, we'll see. I don't know. Actually, I guess maybe. I guess maybe I know what I'm going to do next. I'm just going to work on the next, well, continuing the cutscene 2-month wait on stream. It's smaller spoilers, so maybe I'll just spoil it. That way I can stream and get closer to an update at the same time. I think that's the plan for now, in case unless I come up with something else. New types of gameplay, yes. Specifically, there aren't tunnels on the planet, so you have to do something else, and doing something else is a different form of gameplay. And hopefully it'll be something interesting. It is entirely possible it will involve running, because you know the name of the game, but no promises as to. Basically, I'm not going to tell you what's on the planet, just that it will take work. On the one hand, yeah, it's cool to be inspiring. I don't know if it's fan work or fan fiction or just fan thoughts, ideas. Again, I'm not telling you exactly what's going to happen or what the gameplay will be once you're on the planet. Yeah. Yeah, I wrote that description, the run, do not slow down, do not fall off, do not give up, relatively fast. I just wanted something that sounded a little catchy and fit the game, but it has kind of stood the test of time. Especially the part about do not slow down. That one fits not just this game, but most of the other game ideas I've had. That sequels, prequels, just other things taking place in this universe. Most of them could share the tagline of do not slow down. I don't know. I think the plan might be once I figure out how to do 3D models properly, I would convert everything. All the existing cutscenes and do all future cutscenes, but probably do it all at once, and I'm not ready for that. This is a start and all, but I made both of these from scratch. And instead, what I would want is I would want to rig them with an armature, which this is. And so an armature is it doesn't look anything like them, but this would kind of be attached inside, and it would be looks more like a clown. But you sort of rig it up by creating, these are bones. And these bones can be these bones can be moved and rotated to, in this case, it's supposed to be, actually, no. Pull it in. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you then add you attach this to a model, and it's got legs and an antenna and arms, and when you move the thing, it moves the model with it, or parts of the model. And if you set it up properly, then you only need one model, and you can just move the rigging to move everything. You can adjust the antenna, you can adjust the arms, you can adjust the legs. Might even be able to adjust the eye and the mouth. That's how 3D animation usually works. Is you have a model. You don't make a new model for every single frame of anything. You just make one model or a few models maybe, and rig them and move them. And that's the final goal. I'm just not ready to do that yet. I've got a lot to figure out in terms of how to do it, what models are going to look best. So that's the point of just, I'm making several models the hard way, just for practice, and maybe I'll figure out some will look better than others. But yeah, for stuff like the duplicator, you rig that up. You attach a leg to the bones, and then you rotate it and you move it. Maybe you can get it to work correctly, but maybe want to stretch it out for something, or put it closer to a sitting position. It's going to be very hard to line it up. So that you can see the outline and it's like not separated from the surface. But possible. There. I don't know. Maybe it could work. But it does add extra effort. In terms of effort, this one is much easier. I've made a shader, and now I can just slap it on everything. I slapped it on the rocket. It mostly worked. I mean, there's this part down here. Whoops. This part down here, the line goes away because the angle. Because of the angle. Would the characters be difficult to make? I don't know. The lizard will take a little more detail with the little spines. But I don't know if that'll actually... That might be easier than the balloon. The bunny... Well, the bunny definitely needs to not be shiny. Oh, I turned off the specular. Was that intended? Oh, I can have it on. I can have it on just fine. I guess that's the thing. I've never drawn these characters as shiny. They aren't really supposed to be. But I kind of like the rocket as shiny. Guess I can compromise. So you can see it better on the rocket anyway. Oh, you can see it on. Oh, but the duplicator being shiny. Yeah, no, I just don't think they're supposed to be shiny. So. Yeah, well. I'll try again to figure out how to set information on an object-by-object basis. So that I can use the same shader for all of these and make some of them shiny and some not, and some thicker lines and some thinner lines. All that stuff. Yeah, I've never actually drawn the bunny as especially fluffy. I could try, but well, I guess I could do a texture for that. I'm pretty sure this is compatible with textures. No, not like human skin. Among other things, you don't get iridescence on something like human skin. Actually, no, maybe you do. Hang on, maybe you do. Iridescence and soap bubbles. Oh, Hmm. Have I been? Oh. Sorry, everyone. I've been lying to you about how to spell this. I don't know how to reset that. Where are my layers? Well. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm using the wrong term. I think that might also just be a special case of iridescence. I looked at some of the... Yeah, no, I think it's a special case of iridescence. I thought I had that right. I think the closest I've seen to this form has actually been in asphalt in the real world. I have seen under certain conditions, like maybe it was after a rain or something, but at a very slight angle, you would see a black line across the road, like top of the hill or bottom of the hill or something. And as you got closer, the angle would shift and it would look like normal road again, but it looked like a hole in the ground at first, something like that. They don't feel like asphalt either. It's closer to human skin, to be honest. But it is an actual thing. Minerals and compounds. Could the trail glow? It is actually currently emitting light, in theory. No, I guess not. It's not actually a light source, which is fine. But I do know what you're getting at is, could there be sort of halo around it? Yes, there could. We look at that distortion. Not supposed to do that. And for that, we... Wait, what? There we are. It'll have to do. Yeah, for that we take this, I don't know. We might do that. We do that, and we turn on that maybe. We definitely turn down the alpha. That's no good. Blend mode. Alpha. That can't be it. Alpha blend. Something like that. We turn down the alpha. We turn up the brightness. Why aren't we seeing it here? Okay, I don't know why it's not showing up here. Also, we don't get the fade effect this way. I'm sure there's another way to do it. Currently, I just did an outline. I wonder if there's a modifier for that. Mask. Would it be this place? That's not at all what we want. Yeah, I'm sure there's a way to apply a glow. I don't know how off the top of my head. Oh, I bet I could do it with a shader. Kind of like the... I bet I could do it with a shader, but I don't want to. Yeah, I see your question. I'm just not going to answer. Sorry. Can't answer that one. Yeah. Apparently I need to retitle this Child's Nightmare. Okay. In any case, I do think I'm going to render... Oh! Well, I was about to end the stream. But... that's not okay. What's going on here? And why isn't it going on there? So at some distances... blend mode... alpha? No. Opaque? This really shouldn't be happening. Like some guesses as to what's going on, but none of them hold up, given that you can sometimes see through it. Well, okay, for now it's pretty clear. No, there should be no need to. Yeah, this isn't actually a reason to prefer one over the other, because if I do know, like, I don't know everything about Blender, but I do know that if I put these into the game, they would both look like this, and not like that. Oh! I know what's going on. I know exactly what's going on. What we need to find is where shadows are handled. Volume, settings, shadow mode. That's the one. Okay, that was actually simpler than I thought. The difference here is that in this mode, nothing is lit, as in it doesn't really care that we've got a light source over here shining in. It just shows everything at full brightness anyway. Whereas in this mode, it does use the light source. You see light, you see shadow. The backside of things is dark. The trail glows on its own, so you can still see it. But this object, this outline, takes up extra space around the duplicator, and it was set to be opaque as far as shadows were concerned. And what that meant is that it blocks the light. Now the duplicator doesn't give off, he doesn't give off any light of his own, so he needs light in order for you to see him. So we need to turn off shadows in order for the light to reach him and be able to see him in this mode. And then we can render an image and end the stream. So, thank you all for watching. That was interesting. I learned a bunch. I hope you did too. And I will see you next time.